Today, we're unpacking a really complex, honestly confusing, and just deeply draining relationship dynamic. If you've ever felt like you're stuck in the twilight zone with certain people, constantly walking on eggshells, literally feeling your vitality drain away, listen, you are absolutely not alone. We're going to break down exactly what's going on under the hood so you can finally protect your peace of mind. Ever walked away from a conversation feeling totally depleted? Almost like someone just reached right in and pulled the plug on your internal battery? It's a surprisingly common and exhausting reality when you're dealing with high-conflict personalities, and it can leave you feeling so confused and profoundly drained. Okay, let's dive into this and explore the hidden mechanics behind all this exhaustion.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll quickly cover the energy drain, then look at the anatomy of a Pretoite, move into toxic networks, how they dodge consequences and karma, and finally, wrapping up with reclaiming your agency.
Starting with Section 1. The energy drain explained. Let's look at the dynamics of the energy body.
To really get this dynamic, we first got to talk about this concept of the energy body. According to our sources, this represents our vital, emotional, and spiritual reserves. It's basically the currency of our relationships, our internal battery for high-level output. Now, highly intuitive, empathic people, their energy naturally expands. They nourish and share high vibrational energy with others. But the narcissistic personality operates in the exact opposite way. It's a low-vibration vessel that contracts. Because it lacks the capacity to generate its own positive frequency, it relies entirely on draining external sources. It's wild.
And this brilliantly illustrates how that works. The sources note that these personalities can't just violently snatch your energy. Instead, they have to pull or tap into it. It's much like placing a straw in a glass of water. But here's the core pathology, the really tricky part. The targeted individual actually has to unconsciously allow that straw to be placed in their glass for the harvest to happen.
Moving into Section 2, Anatomy of a Pretoite, Unmasking the Dual Threat.
Our source material uses a super fascinating, highly specific term for the folks orchestrating this drain, Pretoite. It's a clever mashup of the words predator and parasite. Engaging with one of these individuals leaves you with this distinct, lingering bad taste in your mouth. You walk away feeling inexplicably weighed down and, honestly, profoundly despondent.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how they operate with a dual modus operandi. As a predator, they use overt control, intentional chaos, pitting people against each other to deliver a sudden, sharp psychic attack. But simultaneously, as a parasite, they rely on this quiet, subtle, subconscious attachment for the slow consumption of your internal resources. They're constantly flipping between these two states just to keep you off balance.
Which brings us to Section 3. Triangulation and toxic networks. The mechanics of the harvest.
You see, Pretoites rarely stick to just one-on-one interactions. They need a massive amount of supply. Usually when we hear third-party situation, we instantly think of a romantic love triangle, right? But the sources reveal these networks frequently involve anywhere from 6 to 10 people. It's less like a love triangle and way more like a terrible reality TV show, filled with people unknowingly caught in the crossfire, all fighting for the narcissist's attention or trapped in their manufactured drama.
To build a network that big, they cast very specific roles. The Pretoite plays the orchestrator. They recruit flying monkeys. These are proxies who spread fabrications and rumors on their behalf. They also use enablers, often undercover codependents, as buffers. This stuff heavily infects workplaces and social groups through toxic office intrigue and competitors vying for affection. They use manipulation and neuro-linguistic programming to literally pit all these people against each other. They essentially act as the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, orchestrating confusion to guarantee a steady flow of emotional fuel. They just sit back, totally hidden from the blame, and bask in the drama. They let everyone else fight it out and stay emotionally stressed, while they secretly pull energy from all the resulting chaos. It's incredibly calculating.
Let's look at Section 4. Dodging consequences and karma. The dark secret of covert narcissism.
So, what's the underlying motivation behind creating all this confusion, triangulation, and chaos in the first place? Well, it's an escape hatch. It allows covert narcissists to break sacred connections like promises of trust, loyalty, and commitment without ever having to face accountability or natural consequences. They use the confusion of the network to shift their own spiritual contracts and fallout right onto their targets.
This is a truly chilling concept. They essentially want you to wear the scarlet letter of blame, sending you to spiritual jail so they can completely avoid their own karma.
They purposely seek out highly intuitive, good people to act as human shields, forcing them to absorb the crossfire and all the negative repercussions of the predator's own bad choices.
Let's move to and see how this builds into Section 5, Reclaiming Your Agency, the Strategic Recovery Blueprint. Now that we understand the deep trap of this dynamic, how do we actually get our energy back? So the crucial point is, it comes down to 4 essential pillars of intentional recovery. First, you got to actively affirm your worth so you don't absorb their false blame. Next, lock in a state of gratitude to keep your internal vibration shield high. Third, set focused boundaries to retract your energy so the narcissist's natural karma lands on them, not you. And finally, safely express your emotions by emotionally detaching from the toxic environment and seeking secure external support. The absolute ultimate rule here: never ever put the narcissist's energy needs before your own.
This entire journey is really about a profound transformation. It's about moving from being this passive, harvested pawn who's unfairly absorbing someone else's karma to achieving sustainable agency. It's about stepping into an empowered state with protective boundaries and high vibrational leadership. Basically, you're finally pulling that narcissist straw completely out of your glass for good. Which leads us to a final, absolutely vital question. Will you continue to fuel their chaos, or is it time to remove the straw and step into your luminous agency? You have the inherent power to redefine your boundaries, protect your peace, and thrive forward.
Emotional alchemy, the legacy audit. Examine your emotional blueprint. Transmute inherited patterns. Transcend for generational freedom.
This is why people are seeing red sometimes when they're dealing with narcissists. But narcissists often find that amusing. So in the third party situation, again, after they have swindled people out of money, after they have also played with people's minds, they have cheated them out of their, I'm going to keep it clean, they have cheated them out of their hearts in the bedroom. I'll put it like that, right? People have been caught up. The narcissist sits back and they look at all that and they look at their mantle of conquests. They have conquered these people. In the narcissist's mind, they have conquered. So in a third party situation, especially for a covert narcissist, this is just the icing on the cake. This type of situation is the icing on the cake for a covert narcissist. If they can sit back and see that they have influenced you to give up on yourself and give up on having good relationships or having a good life, they feel that they have won. That is just the ultimate for especially a covert narcissist. So the third party situation, make no mistake, it serves a purpose for a narcissist. They've constantly, well, I'm not going to say constantly, a lot of the times, a narcissist from one relationship to the next will contemplate or will ponder, right? They will ponder over what they can afford and what they cannot afford. And I think that if we take anything away from a narcissist playbook, it's that one. What can you afford? What can you not afford? Because a narcissist is going to look at that. And before they get in one third party situation or another, they're going to contemplate that. They're going to do their homework. So if they have several people that they're getting it in with, so to speak, you best believe they have done their homework on every last one of those people. And they know how to pit one against them. This is how sometimes we sit back and sometimes some of us have marveled over how the narcissist can walk into a situation, right? Everybody, just say at a party, right? Everybody's having fun. But that one person who's a narcissist walks in and they just ruin it all. They ruin it all. But the narcissist is the only one who's loving that. Everybody else feels that bad energy. They don't like it. They want to get away from it. But the narcissist, no, the narcissist bask in it. They love it. Sometimes narcissists like negative, they like the negative attention, right? Rather than the positive one, because they cannot get the best source supply out of the positive like they can the negative. And it's very sad to me how narcissists have ruined some people's lives, or they have influenced ruin. They have influenced some people's downfall. But again, in a third-party situation, this is very intense because emotions are hurt now. Emotions are raw. People are hurt. People want revenge. People, they want to know why the narcissist does what they do without remorse. But the narcissist just seems to be unmoved. They just seem to skate through it all. Okay, so just wanted to share this with y'all because I know some people right now, right? They're wondering why the narcissist wants to come back into their life. Well, because the narcissist doesn't want to run out of supply. So they want to keep everybody a part of the third party situation. And it's not about anybody else to a narcissist. It's all about self. They are loyal to their false self images. And the third party situation often will help them to maintain their false self images. So in the third party situations, they often will look like a saint, or they will look like a martyr, or they will look like a victim who can't seem to catch a break. Or if the narcissist doesn't, as far as like the victim part, if the narcissist does not come off as the victim, right, they're going to create victims. They're going to make sure that they hurt other people. This is often why narcissists like to see signs of distress, whereas it pertains to other people. If they pull a shenanigan, if they go to a new source, the narcissist wants to see signs that the old supply is in distress. They're bothered by it. They can't live without the narcissist. They're looking crazy in love. This narcissist, they love that.
The hoovering cycle begins with a crisis, drawing you in to project blame, draining your energy, trapping you in the loop. But the detachment wall of silence and neutrality breaks the cycle, leading to recovery.
Out of the shadows, breaking the cycle of narcissistic abuse. The systemic mechanics of intergenerational trauma and the biological imperative of going no contact. This is the path to growth and transformation.
Step number one, point number one, tool number one, discontinue to carry the shame of the narcissistic parent.
In the trap, the scapegoat endures identity hijacking and fog, fear, obligation, guilt. To escape, become the senior auditor. Reclaim your lineage with no contact. Write your epilogue. Shift from supply to the author of your story.
Look, if you've recently survived a toxic relationship, you might be feeling entirely drained, confused, and just completely stuck in what experts call a sunken place. Let me validate you right now. That profound disorientation you're feeling, it is completely normal. Today, we're stepping into the role of the energetic and focused architect to draft a real, actionable blueprint for reclaiming your personal power.
It's the ultimate paradox, isn't it? Why is it that abusers suddenly reappear, often with these grand, sweeping promises or sudden, dramatic crises, at the exact moment you finally find the strength to walk away? Well, in this explainer, we're going to reveal the hidden, mechanical realities behind this exact trap. We're going to strip away the confusion so you can finally break free for good. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap. First, the reality of discard, then unmasking narcissistic supply, the neuroscience of trauma bonds, hoovering and crazy-making tactics, and finally, your blueprint for recovery.
Starting with Section 1, the reality of discard.
Because, let's be honest, the end of a toxic relationship rarely brings instant peace, does it? It brings a profound shock and this agonizing sense of betrayal. It's literally a shock and awe maneuver. Abusers rarely end things respectfully. The rug gets completely pulled out from under you. But the kicker is, they often don't even view it as truly over. They're just placing you on the back burner while they go secure a new target.
To really understand the discard, we have to look at the entire chronological cycle of abuse. It always starts with idealization or love bombing. Now, this initial charm isn't genuine love. Actually, it's a calculated bait tactic. It lures you into an impossible imaginary contract. And when you inevitably fail to meet these unspoken conditions, the devaluation begins. This is your gaslighting, your silent treatment. Finally, the cycle culminates in the discard, where you're suddenly dropped, often because, you guessed it, they've already lined up someone new. And this brilliantly illustrates that concept. During that initial idealization phase, you are placed on this remarkably high pedestal. But here's the catch. That pedestal is actually located in a dark, sunken place, completely disconnected from reality and true intimacy. You are essentially set up to fall from the very beginning.
Moving to Section 2, Unmasking Narcissistic Supply.
It's time to pull back the curtain here, kind of like the Wizard of Oz, to strip away the emotional confusion. The cold, mechanical engine driving all of this behavior is something called narcissistic supply. An abuser isn't driven by empathy or genuine connection. No, they are driven by an intense, rigid loyalty to a manufactured false self-image. And to protect that illusion, they have to extract supply from you to use as fuel.
As you can see, these relationships are frankly coldly transactional. Take your reactionary energy, for example. Your anger, your tears, your confusion. By intentionally provoking you, the abuser gets to stand back and look cool, calm, and collected by comparison. It perfectly validates their power and upholds their false image entirely at your expense.
All right, Section 3, the neuroscience of trauma bonds. Now, if you've ever severely judged yourself for wanting to go back, please listen to me. Returning is not a weakness. It's rooted in biology, not a character flaw. Your nervous system has quite literally been trained to crave the abuser. The intense withdrawal you feel, it closely mirrors breaking a severe chemical dependency.
It is a total chemical roller coaster. The abuse and the stress of separation cause a massive spike in cortisol. That's your stress hormone. Then, out of nowhere, the abuser returns with sudden affection, apologies, little breadcrumbs of warmth. Boom. That triggers a flood of oxytocin, the bonding hormone. Over time, your brain learns a devastating equation. The exact person causing your severe pain is simultaneously the only one who relieves it.
In psychology, this is known as intermittent reinforcement, because the abuser alternates between cruelty and affection completely unpredictably. Your brain's reward system lights up exactly like someone playing a slot machine in Vegas. Unpredictable rewards trigger much stronger dopamine releases than consistent ones. And that makes the trauma bond incredibly resistant to breaking, because your brain is constantly scanning for that next hit of warmth.
Next up, Section 4, hoovering and crazy-making tactics.
So the crucial point is, because narcissists essentially view you as property and constantly recycle partners for supply, hoovering is always a lingering threat. They desperately want to vacuum you right back into the dysfunction, effectively resetting the abuse from the very beginning.
Ever wonder why they hoover the absolute hardest when you finally try to walk away? It's simple. When you threaten to leave in anger, your heightened emotion just confirms their power. But when you genuinely leave with calm detachment, you inflict a massive narcissistic injury. Your indifference dismantles their control, and that triggers their most aggressive, desperate attempts to pull you back.
And to get you back, they will unleash a whole arsenal of chaotic tactics. They might use the loving return, just flooding you with affection, or manufactured crises, sudden health or financial emergencies to exploit your sympathy. Interestingly, our sources mention the one-down method. This is where they intentionally parade a new partner who seems like a massive downgrade just to confuse you and make you obsess. They also use triangulation and recruit flying monkeys, third parties who unknowingly do their dirty work. Explicitly naming these crazy-making tactics is the absolute key to stripping them of their invisible power.
Now, if you share children or a workplace and you simply cannot go fully no contact, your absolute best defense is the gray rock method. This means becoming as uninteresting and boring as a literal gray rock. You provide brief, factual answers with zero emotional content. By doing this, you completely cut off the reactionary drama the abuser uses as their supply. You make yourself utterly useless to their cycle.
Finally, Section 5, the blueprint for recovery.
You are no longer just a survivor. You are the architect of your own life now. To rebuild, we highly recommend the 3-3-3 framework. First, establish cognitive clarity by dismantling the gaslighting and seeing reality for what it is. Second, maintain emotional and physical discipline. Remember, taking care of your physical health stops the narcissist from tapping into your energy field. And third, enforce strict boundaries, ideally total, absolute no contact.
Let's move to and see how this builds. Organizing your thoughts and understanding priorities for holistic recovery is vital. Your top priority must be cultivating an independent support base. You need safe spaces and trusted people who are completely disconnected from the abuser's toxic web so you can regain that cognitive clarity.
And within that safe support base, you must practice the alchemy of anger. Anger gets a really bad reputation, right? But it is simply a valid expression of witnessed injustice. You survived a terrible ordeal, and you must let that anger out safely. Suppressing it compromises your structural integrity and can genuinely manifest as serious physical health issues. Now, as you heal, you might see the abuser seemingly thriving and think, why hasn't the universe punished them yet? Our sources refer to the physics of vibrational logic. The universe doesn't judge right or wrong, it simply obliges energy.
The abuser thrives because they move forward without remorse. So to counter this, you must stop focusing on their false successes. You have to redirect literally all of your passion and energy into your own vibrational shift, passionately choosing to thrive forward yourself.
Which brings us to our final thought. The abuser's entire cycle relies on keeping you off-balanced and drained. But now you have the blueprint. So, will you remain trapped in their chaotic, sunken place, or will you take these tools, apply your free will, and step up as the architect of your own luminous recovery?
They're gone! You're stuck! Watch now! What does a flying monkey expect for doing dirty work? The answer is B. A paycheck of narcissistic supply, status, or high favor. Flying monkeys are motivated by supply and status, not genuine connection.
Hey, flying monkeys do not hoover for free. Flying monkeys and narcissists, they have resonance. In other words, they vibe. They're pretty much on the same page. What some flying monkeys don't realize is that after you have been hoovered back in, they have done all that dirty work, and they go to the narcissist expecting to supply or to pay. That's when the narcissist pulls the rug out from under him or her, and they're saying your services are no longer needed. Your overall process for thriving forward is compromised when you have flying monkeys around. Some people may be wondering, well, why would the flying monkey even agree to do the dirty work to hoover you back in? All right, well, this is because they have something called resonance, or they vibe. See, narcissists and some cluster personality types, they choose flying monkeys that they have resonance with because they're more prone, okay, and they're more open to do the dirty work. Because narcissists and some cluster personality types, as a lot of us know from experience, they study people. So they know the vices, they know the characteristics of the flying monkey or the enabler. But since we're talking about the flying monkey here, I'm going to focus on them in this vlog. Flying monkeys expect to be supplied by the narcissist. They work for the narcissist. Look at it like this. When you go to your job, when it's time to get your pay, who signs your paycheck? The narcissist is the one that signs the paycheck of the flying monkey. So when it's time to be supplied, they're not going to come to you. They're going to go to the narcissist. So when it's time for them to get the payment, they're not going to check for you. They're going to go for the narcissist and say, hey, where's my pay? Flying monkeys do not hoover for free. Flying monkeys and narcissists, they have resonance. In other words, they vibe. They're pretty much on the same page. What some flying monkeys don't realize is that after you have been hoovered back in, they have done all that dirty work, and they go to the narcissist expecting to supply or to pay. That's when the narcissist pulls the rug out from under him or her, and they're saying your services are no longer needed. See, when flying monkeys are discarded, this is something that sometimes it even takes them by surprise. Sometimes, because they have a hidden agenda, it is the flying monkey that instigates your getting hoovered back in. Sometimes they facilitate your getting hoovered, while the narcissist is often the one that conducts the whole shenanigan. The flying monkey may be a family member of yours. One of their hidden agendas is to get you hoovered back in, so they are in favor of the narcissist. Flying monkeys sometimes make the mistake of thinking when they are highly favored, that means that they are excluded from being discarded. That's not true. Narcissists often discard the flying monkey after you get hoovered back in. Sign number one that you're dealing with a flying monkey is that the flying monkey will often try to connect you to the narcissist after you have gone no contact. In other words, they try to make a connection where there isn't a connection. This is something that we often overlook when we're dealing with flying monkeys. Sometimes we don't even know that the flying monkey is hoovering us back in, but it's a 1-2 punch to the hoovering process. It is the hoover before the hoover. This can never be accomplished without a flying monkey. And this is what a lot of narcissists have come to realize. Sign number two that you're dealing with a flying monkey is that they actually remind you of your narcissist. They remind you of a particular cluster personality type. Now you've gone no contact and you can see things a little bit more clearly. Now that you're low contact, you may be able to see things a little bit more clearly. But the bottom line is this: when that flying monkey is around, or it could be several of them, you may even think to yourself, wow, if I didn't know any better, you know, you're just like so-and-so, and you're thinking about the narcissist. So narcissists and flying monkeys often have similar vices, and they often have similar characteristics. And sometimes their hidden agendas to get you hoovered back in are not so similar. But sign number 2 again is when that flying monkey reminds you too much of the narcissist. So it's a little bit too close for comfort. See, flying monkeys and narcissists are not twins. They're more like first cousins because they have a hidden agenda that may not be similar, but their characteristics often are. When the flying monkey gets you hoovered back in, sometimes the triangulation is set in place. The narcissist, again, the narcissist is the one that conducts the whole shenanigan of the hoovering process, while the flying monkey facilitates it, or they instigate it. This again has everything to do with their hidden agendas to get you hoovered back in. So the flying monkey and the narcissist, and there you are, there's a triangulation going on. The biggest piece of that triangulation pie goes to the narcissist, never to the flying monkey. The triangulation is set into play until the narcissist decides to discard of the flying monkey. If they do so, sometimes the flying monkey gets to stick around for a long time. Sign number 3 that you are dealing with a flying monkey is that you get a sense of, or you discover that you have been betrayed, not only by the flying monkey, but by the narcissist. But this is what's very interesting. You've been betrayed by the narcissist, but because the flying monkey has been whispering in your ear about the narcissist, now you're nostalgic. You're all giddy and gushy over the narcissist again. So whatever they've done, including betraying you, gets put in the back burner, or put on the back burner. It fades into the background. You decide that the flying monkey now has taken the place of the narcissist. Very creepy when you think about it. But the flying monkey is the one that you now realize has betrayed you. The flying monkey works for the narcissist. So everything you share with the flying monkey goes right to the narcissist. And the narcissist uses that against you. When you give full detail of everything that's going on in your life, what you're feeling about what's going on in your life, such as getting fired, such as not getting that promotion on the job. See, you're feeling and thinking a certain way, and you may confide in the flying monkey. The flying monkey does all of this in hopes to be highly regarded or in favor of your narcissist. One of the things that flying monkeys and narcissists have in common is that they will try to gain at other people's expenses. So a flying monkey, once you find out that they have betrayed you, you get that sense of being violated because the flying monkey actually did gain at your expense. So when you put all this in context, yeah, you find out that the flying monkey actually did gain something at your expense. They're trying to stay in favor of the narcissist at your expense. And sometimes they pull it off. That's why some of us find out that it is the flying monkey that has also betrayed us, not just the narcissist. Tool number 1, focus on your goals. What are your priorities? So prioritize your life. Prioritize your values. Prioritize your principles. So focus on your ambitions, your passions. Okay, what makes you smile? What makes you laugh? What makes you really feel like getting up out of bed and going after what you want in life? Focus on what it's going to take in order for you to thrive past codependent narcissistic relationships. Tool number 2, build your support base. Navigate it like a boss. You get to decide who and what consists of your support base. It's a good idea to expect support. You don't have to go around thinking you're never going to get support. See, narcissists want you to think that your life is just hopeless. You're hopeless. You don't count. No, expect support. Expect to be treated well. The narcissist has already shown you that he or she doesn't have the capacity to treat you well. Okay? They don't support you. So don't think that this is going to always be your life. Tool number 3, take time out to restore your health, your mind, restore your overall well-being. You've gone through something. Codependent narcissistic relationships are designed to destroy, to damage. Your overall well-being, your health is compromised every time you're in a relationship. Well, because of personality type, such as a narcissist. Take some time out for yourself. You're going to need it. You need a safe environment to express what you have gone through. Sometimes we give anger a bad rap. You got to go ahead and tap into that anger. The anger is only an expression of an injustice. That's all it is. Sometimes people misuse their anger. I get it. But because you've gone through this ordeal called a codependent narcissistic relationship, you have to express what you've gone through. Don't suppress your anger, because suppressing your anger will cause health problems. Take time out to restore your spirit, your mind, your overall well-being. Okay? It's worth it. Invest in yourself for a change.
Have you ever walked away from a seemingly normal conversation and just felt entirely, utterly depleted? And I mean, I'm not talking about just needing a quick nap or a cup of coffee.
Right, not just normal tired.
Yeah, exactly. I am talking about that profound, almost physical sensation where it feels like an internal battery was just suddenly unplugged from your core. You're left with this lingering kind of metallic, bad taste in your mouth. Your brain feels like it's trudging through wet cement, and you just have this overwhelming sense of despondency.
It's a very specific feeling.
It is. And if you're nodding your head right now, maybe even picturing a specific person in your life while I say this, you are not alone, and you are exactly who this deep dive is for today.
It really is a remarkably common yet incredibly misunderstood experience. People so often brush it off. They tell themselves, oh, I'm just tired, or that person is just a bit much, or they blame their own stress levels.
Right. We gaslight ourselves a bit.
Yeah, we do. We constantly excuse it. But there is a very real, highly strategic, and often completely hidden architecture behind that drained feeling. It doesn't happen by accident.
Which is exactly why we are here. Today, our mission is to decode that hidden architecture. We are pulling from a really fascinating stack of sources to figure this out.
Yeah, it's a great lineup today.
We've got a behavioral handbook on triangulation, a strategic recovery plan specifically for dealing with professional sabotage, and some incredibly insightful presentations from the Luminousz Ztarr 333 framework.
Which is a fantastic resource, by the way.
It really is. It essentially maps out a 3-stage roadmap for recognizing these attacks, defending your energy, and stepping back into your own power. Mm-hmm. And what I find so fascinating about these sources is how they marry very clinical workplace psychology with deeply spiritual and, energetic framework.
Yeah, they don't treat those as separate things.
Exactly. They aren't just talking about dealing with a toxic boss or a difficult relative. They are describing this as a fundamental clash of energy. So we're going to map out the complex networks that these manipulative personalities build to harvest your energy, and most importantly, how you can reclaim your agency.
And to really set the stage for this, we have to kind of reframe how we think about human interaction itself.
Yeah.
Our sources suggest looking at every interaction, not just as a mundane exchange of words, but as an exchange of what they call the energy body.
The energy body.
Right. So if you are a highly intuitive, empathic person, sometimes they refer to this in the materials as a Hyoka empath, your energy body naturally expands. It operates on a high vibrational frequency. It is literally designed to nourish, to share, to create, and to provide for the people around you.
It kind of makes me think of a well that naturally replenishes itself just by watering the ground around it. Like the more it gives, the more the whole ecosystem thrives.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And that is a beautiful way to live. But today, we are looking at what happens when that expansive giving well encounters an energy body that is built entirely on contraction.
Oh, wow. Contraction.
Yeah. We are talking about a human vessel that fundamentally lacks internal reserves. Because they cannot generate their own joy or creativity or peace, they literally have to extract vitality from the outside just to survive.
Which brings us to this incredibly striking clinical concept in the sources, the Pretoite.
The Pretoite, yes.
They don't just call this person an energy vampire or a jerk, they call him a Pretoite.
Really?
Let's unpack the mechanics of why that drain happens and what this term actually means.
It's a very specific and frankly devastating hybrid term. It combines the aggressive, dominant, kind of calculating pursuit of a predator with the subtle, slow internal consumption of a parasite.
A predator and a parasite, that's a terrifying combo.
It is. And what's fascinating here is the underlying physics of this dynamic, what the sources refer to as the vibrational clash.
Right, because you essentially have these two completely incompatible operating systems just colliding with each other.
Precisely. You have the high vibrational target, who is oriented toward harmony, truth, connection, colliding with the low vibrational orchestrator, who is oriented entirely toward conflict, control, and extraction.
Okay, so how does the extraction actually work?
Well, here is the crucial mechanic that we really need to understand. The Pretoite cannot aggressively snatch your energy by force. They don't have the capacity or the internal machinery to just take it in one fell swoop.
Interesting. So they can't just mug you for your energy.
Right, they can't.
Yeah.
Instead, they operate like a vacuum. They have to strategically latch onto you and kind of pull or tap into your vital emotional and spiritual reserves to fill their own internal void.
I love that distinction. It makes me think of, plugging a massive industrial energon-hogging appliance into a really delicate high-voltage outlet in an old house.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
Right. The appliance isn't like attacking the outlet with a hammer, but by simply being plugged in and drawing that much power, the whole system inevitably shorts out. You just blow a fuse.
That is a perfect analogy. The slow, continuous draw is what blows the fuse. The target is left feeling flat, despondent, and confused, while the Pretoite walks away temporarily energized, ready to go about their day.
Hold on, I have to jump in here. If the primary mechanic is this slow, subtle, parasitic drain, like the appliance just quietly sucking power, where does the aggressive predator part actually come into play?
That's a really good point.
Because calling someone a predator implies they are actively hunting and trapping, not just, passively siphoning.
That is the exact right question to ask. And it's where this dynamic scales up from a simple one-on-one drain into something much more insidious. The predatory aggression is revealed in how these individuals strategically build and manipulate their environments.
Okay, so it's about the setup.
Exactly. They don't just drain you in isolation. They build complex, sprawling architectures of chaos to trap you. The clinical term for this in the sources is a third-party situation, or a TPS.
And the sources are very clear that a third-party situation doesn't just mean like a love triangle or three people gossiping at the water cooler.
Not at all. It is a messy, highly uneven engineered dynamic that can involve 6, 8, or sometimes even 10+ participants.
10 people. That's a whole production.
It really is. And the predatory aspect is how the orchestrator acts as the Wizard of Oz. They are pulling the strings from behind this heavy curtain of manufactured confusion and covert silence.
Because they stay hidden.
Right. By keeping the network fragmented, by ensuring that no two people in this network have the exact same information, the orchestrator ensures they remain the only reliable source of truth in the entire system.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me. To maintain that illusion, the sources say the orchestrator relies on a very specific output formula. The 1090 rule.
The 1090 rule, yeah, this is crucial.
They communicate using 10% truth mixed with 90% pure fabrication. To me, that 10% truth is a Trojan horse.
Oh, absolutely.
It's the little wooden horse that looks legitimate, which allows them to sneak the 90% lies right past your mental gates.
Yeah.
It gives them just enough plausible deniability to make you actually question your own sanity.
Yes, and that plausible deniability is exactly what scrambles the target's logic. But the orchestrator can't maintain that massive Trojan horse illusion alone. They need a supporting cast to carry it inside the walls.
The network.
Right. Have you ever confided in a mutual friend, only to realize later that your vulnerabilities were reported straight back to the person hurting you?
Oh, man, absolutely. It's a horrible feeling.
It's the worst. Those are what the sources call the flying monkeys. They act as spies and messengers. And what makes this so cruel, so genuinely predatory, is that the orchestrator often intentionally recruits these flying monkeys from the target's own trusted inner circle.
Wow. Just to hurt them more.
They do this specifically to maximize your emotional disruption and completely isolate you.
So they are essentially turning your own trusted support system into their personal intelligence agency.
Precisely.
But with all this manufactured drama and spying, who cleans up the actual mess? Because the orchestrator certainly isn't doing the emotional labor.
Oh no, they never do. That falls to the enablers. The sources describe them as undercover codependents. They act as the compulsive fixers and peacemakers of the group.
The ones always saying, oh, they didn't mean it that way.
Exactly. And their role is staggering. The research suggests these enablers absorb 70 to 80% of the emotional burden created by the orchestrator's bad choices.
Wait, 70 to 80%?
Yeah, they literally act as a systemic buffer, smoothing things over, making excuses, and doing the heavy emotional lifting.
So the wizard gets all the control, but outsources almost all of the consequences. That is wild.
It is. And finally, to round out the cast, you have the pawns. This is often new and old supply, say, an ex-partner and a current partner, or two rival coworkers.
Just pitted against each other.
Right. In Manufactured Gladiator, fights for the narcissist's approval. The orchestrator uses neurolinguistic programming, or NLP, to subtly plant seeds of jealousy and rivalry. The pawns genuinely believe the conflict is their own organic idea.
While the orchestrator just sits back in the stands.
Sitting back, eating popcorn, and harvesting the energetic fallout from both sides.
Okay, but this raises a massive logistical red flag for me. With 6, 8, 10 people involved in this messy network, flying monkeys, enablers, pawns, how does the wizard keep everyone from just, I don't know, talking to each other?
Right, the crosstalk.
Yeah. How do they stop people from sitting down over coffee, comparing notes, and exposing the whole scam?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, preventing that discovery requires strict, almost militaristic control of specific environments.
Okay, so it's about the venue.
Exactly. The sources highlight two primary theaters of operation where this sabotage thrives because the environments are naturally enclosed: the family and the workplace. Let's look at the dysfunctional family first.
Right, the ultimate closed system where you can't easily escape the other players.
You're born into it. To prevent discovery in a family setting, the orchestrator assigns rigid, highly dysfunctional roles to the children from a very young age.
And these are roles they can't break out of.
Right. The most common are the golden child and the scapegoat. The golden child can essentially do no wrong. They are treated as an extension of the narcissist's own ego. Meanwhile, the scapegoat becomes the systemic dumping ground for all the family's failures, anxieties, and anger.
So by treating them so vastly differently, they are essentially grooming them to resent each other.
That's the whole point.
I mean, imagine growing up constantly compared to a sibling who is treated like royalty while you are punished just for breathing. You're never going to trust them.
Exactly. These roles are groomed into the children to ensure the siblings stay perpetually at odds. If they are busy fighting each other for scraps of affection, they will never sit down as adults, compare notes, and expose the parent's fundamental fraud.
It is a brilliant, albeit totally tragic, strategy of divide and conquer.
It is.
That makes total sense at the dinner table. But what about the workplace? You can't just assign your colleagues as your children. You can't control people's roles that rigidly in an open office.
True, so the tactics have to adapt. In the hostile workplace, the Pretoite uses office intrigue as their primary weapon.
Office intrigue.
Yeah. They curate this bulletproof facade of alliance with key decision makers. They get incredibly chummy with the top dog. And then they use the inside scoop as social currency.
So they look important without doing the work.
Exactly. They secure unfair promotions without doing the actual work, while simultaneously spreading false, deeply personal rumors, things like who slept with who, or whispering that a top performer is, quote, difficult to work with.
Oh, that's such a classic move.
It is, and they do it specifically to sideline the high-output workers who actually threaten them.
Okay, hold on. I have to push back here for a second. If this predatory employee is just gossiping, stirring the pot, and creating all this chaotic drama all day, how are they not getting fired?
You'd think they would be.
I mean, the spreadsheets don't lie. Eventually, leadership has to see the massive drop in actual productivity, right?
You would think so. But that is the tragic irony of these systems. The narcissist's entire strategy is based on proximity to power, not actual productivity.
Proximity over productivity, wow.
They prioritize control over genuine output. The sources point out that these individuals have essentially taken a secret vow to love no one. They do not care about the company's mission, the quarterly goals, or authentic connection. They care solely about dominance.
So they just manage the optics.
They manage upward flawlessly, charming the leadership while terrorizing downward.
So the boss only ever sees the charming, helpful facade while the actual team is getting systematically dismantled.
Yes. And the ultimate goal in the workplace is to drain the target's specific battery for innovation and leadership. If they can replace a high performer's drive with utter despondency, that creates a power vacuum.
And who steps into that vacuum?
The narcissist. Furthermore, they engineer a culture of blackmail and fear, where there is absolutely no emotional safe space to voice grievances.
Right, because if you go to HR and complain, they've already laid the groundwork to make you look like the crazy drama queen.
You've already been discredited.
Stepping back, it just sounds absolutely exhausting to maintain this massive illusion. Juggling the 1090 rule, managing flying monkeys, planting office rumors, keeping the golden child and scapegoat separated. Why go through all this trouble? What is the ultimate strategic motive here?
That leads us to the darkest secret of the covert narcissist. The entire network, all the chaos, the triangulation, it is all designed for one single overarching objective.
Which is?
Total accountability avoidance.
So the sources talk about this concept of switching soul contracts, which it almost sounds like identity theft, but on a spiritual or systemic level. It feels like they are trying to hack the universe so you pay the bill for their mistakes.
That is a phenomenal way to describe it. The sources use the chilling metaphor of the soul snatcher.
The soul snatcher.
Yeah. The narcissist wants all the rewards of human connection and success without paying any of the systemic costs. They want to offload the weight of their harmful choices onto the innocent target.
So they shift the blame entirely.
They want you to wear their scarlet litter of blame. In the metaphorical language of the sources, they want to send you to spiritual jail in their place so they can completely dodge their own karma.
Oh, wow. Spiritual jail. So when the massive project fails because they didn't do the work, they've already engineered the office politics, so you look incompetent to the boss, you go to professional jail.
Exactly. And to maintain this level of control, the sources use some intense, almost sci-fi level metaphors here, calling these tactics telekinesis and psychic attacks.
Okay, those sound like literal superpowers. What are we actually talking about here clinically? Because, people aren't moving coffee mugs with their minds.
Right. No, they aren't talking about actual magic. These are intense metaphors for severe psychological manipulation and gaslighting.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Telekinesis represents how they systematically distort your reality and your sense of time. They spin lies so confidently that it feels like they are warping your physical reality, making you actually doubt your own memory.
Like they're moving the furniture in your brain.
Yes. And psychic attacks refer to the intense psychological trauma they trigger, causing hypervigilance, nightmares, and panic attacks.
Well, why go to those extremes? Why trigger nightmares?
Because their goal is to stay in the center of the mind. They have no interest in your heart. They want to occupy all of your mental real estate.
Oh, I see.
If you are constantly anxious trying to decode their lies or defending yourself against their rumors, you are entirely focused on them instead of your own life and your own growth.
If you are listening to this right now and you've ever felt like you were literally losing your mind in one of these dynamics, this explains why.
It really does.
The crazy making isn't an accident. It's not a bug in their programming. It is a highly engineered feature of their system. It's designed to keep you off balance so you take the fall for their karma.
It is a profound, life-altering realization when a target finally sees that architecture for what it really is.
Which brings us to the most important part of this deep dive, breaking the spell.
The toolkit.
Right. We've diagnosed this massive predatory network, but knowing that these orchestrators often have what psychologists call cluster B personality traits like severe narcissism or antisocial behaviors, which means they are notoriously resistant to change or therapy, how do you actually dismantle their hold on you?
The clinical reality here is stark, but ultimately liberating. You cannot fix them.
You just can't?
You can't. Therefore, the sources mandate a complete shift in strategy. You have to stop analyzing the orchestrator and start fortifying your own system.
Okay, so turn the focus inward.
Yes. This requires accepting what they call a no-contact lifestyle. Reclaiming your energy relies on a 4-pillar toolkit.
And rather than just listing these out, let's look at how they build on each other. It starts with your own internal foundation, right? Affirmation of worth.
Yes. The first pillar is about actively celebrating your unique gifts. It sounds simple, like basic self-help, but it is actually a structural defense mechanism.
How so?
By building an internal fortress of self-worth, you drastically reduce your system's reliance on external validation. If you truly know who you are, their 10% truth mixed with 90% lies simply stops working on you.
Because the Trojan horse can't get in if the gates are welded shut with self-respect.
Exactly.
So if building self-worth locks the gates, what happens to the energy itself? We talked earlier about this being a vibrational clash. Is there a way to make our energy fundamentally indigestible to a Pretoite?
That is exactly where the second pillar comes in, the gratitude practice.
Okay.
Gratitude is presented here not just as a feel-good mindfulness exercise, but as a literal physics equation. Genuine gratitude sustains a very high vibrational state.
Right, going back to the energy body.
Exactly. And as we discussed, a high frequency is fundamentally incompatible with the contracting parasitic pull of a Pretoite. It literally makes your energy unappealing and indigestible to them. You vibrate out of their reach.
I love that. So you're locking the gates and changing the frequency. But what about day-to-day interactions, especially if you can't totally escape them yet, like at work? That brings us to triple shielding.
Right. Triple shielding is a disciplined, tactical combination of three things. First, personal boundaries, meaning you strictly control who gets access to your energy and your time.
Okay, boundaries.
Second is mindfulness. And why mindfulness? Because gaslighting lives in the past, and anxiety lives in the future.
Oh, that's powerful.
By forcing your brain to stay strictly anchored in your physical body in the present moment, you give the narcissist zero mental real estate to manipulate. That completely defeats the crazy-making.
And the third part of the shield.
Focused and harkest, intention actively choosing where your energy goes rather than letting it be siphoned passively.
Which perfectly sets up the final pillar, emotional safe havens. You have to find a place to put that focused energy.
This is critical. You must secure trusted mentors, therapists, or support groups completely outside of the network. A narcissist will never provide a safe space for you to voice your reality.
Never.
Never. So you must accept that hard truth and secure it externally in a space where their influence and their flying monkeys cannot reach.
To synthesize all of this, the sources use a defining metaphor for sustainable power that I think just perfectly captures everything we've discussed today. The glass of water and the straw.
Yes, this is the absolute core of reclaiming your agency. You are the glass of water. For way too long, the narcissist has had their straw in your reservoir, draining your resources to survive.
Just sipping away.
Right. And the natural instinct for many targets, once they realize what's happening, is to try to fight the narcissist, to argue with them, to expose them to the flying monkeys.
To poison the water so that the narcissist chokes on it.
Exactly. That's what we want to do.
Yeah.
But the sources are brilliantly clear here. Sustainable power isn't about fighting the narcissist. It is simply about actively, intentionally removing the straw.
Removing the straw.
You don't have to destroy them. You just have to stop letting them drink from your well.
It's like waking up to realize you've been a pawn on a deeply dysfunctional chessboard. You've been agonizing over your next move, trying to outsmart the wizard, trying to prove your innocence to the enablers, but your winning move isn't to capture the king or beat them in their own rigged game.
No, it's not.
Your winning move is simply to step off the board entirely.
And when you step off the board, the game ends for you. The orchestrator is left holding the bag, forced to face their own karma without you acting as their buffer.
So, to recap the incredible journey we've taken today, we started by identifying that visceral physical drain of the Pretoite, that devastating predator-parasite hybrid. We exposed exactly how they scale that drain up into the massive Wizard of Oz network, using flying monkeys and enablers in our families and workplaces to completely dodge accountability and trap us in spiritual jail.
We covered a lot.
We did. And finally, we explored the toolkit. The pillars of self-worth, gratitude, triple shielding, and safe havens required to retract your energy shield and physically remove the straw.
And I want to leave you with one final, deeply empowering reminder from the Luminousz Ztarr framework. If you have been targeted by one of these orchestrated systems, it is not because you are weak or gullible or flawed. The very fact that a narcissist targeted you means you possess a beautiful, expansive, high vibrational energy. You have something profound that they desperately need but cannot manufacture themselves. You do not have to be a pawn in their chaos. You have the inherent power to step into being a luminous star, to vibrate out of their reach and become the sole architect of your own professional and personal destiny.
It's such a profound reframe. It's not about what you lost to them. It's about the immense, undeniable value of what you naturally possess. Which leaves us with one final, lingering question to ponder as we wrap up this deep dive. If these narcissistic systems, these elaborate orchestrators and their flying monkeys, rely entirely on our energetic compliance to survive, if they literally need our water to function, What happens to the toxic architectures of our workplaces and our families when a critical mass of us simply learn to pull the straw out?